Gen Z is lazy, selfish, disengaged, unintelligent, delulu.
Are they really all of those things?
Well, that's what society has a belief of anyways.
Well, that's something great to talk about. On episode 5 of this podcast, we will be discussing the stereotypes of Gen Z. My name is Loukya Vaka.
And my name is Ella Quinney. Welcome to episode 5 of Deep Dive Discussions.
So one common belief surrounding Gen Z is that they are too attached to their screens.
But if we take a closer look at how Gen Z interacts with popular culture, it's safe to say that there's more to the story.
For sure, because I think right now is that people need to understand that, yes, we're not denying it, Gen Z
we are on our screens a lot.
Exactly. But it's so different and similar in the same way, because previous generations forget that we are accustomed to this new thing. It's just new. That's what's the issue.
Because the thing is, we are kind of the first generation that grew up with screens.
For sure.
Before us, there was the internet, there was other technology, but we're the first ones to have constant access to a screen. It's in our pockets, it's in our hands all the time.
All the time. And I think that that's really what adds to people's issues, that they are just unaccustomed to it. It's just new, but I mean, the internet was new, maybe a decade ago?
Like in the 80s or 90s, it was brand new.
For sure. So like a couple decades ago, it was definitely something new, and now we have social media, and it has negative effects for sure.
But it also has positive effects.
But it has so many positive effects. We are able to connect more with people. I'm able to have more networking with people across different states, across different countries even, because of social media.
Yes.
And we have different content creators. We have different ways to get information. We have different ways to really utilize this completely new thing in beautiful ways.
Yeah. I mean, as long as social media is being used properly and people aren't buying into conspiracy theories on there, because those aren't always true.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes it's fun to watch a conspiracy theory video.
Well, you need to know that it's a conspiracy.
But if you watch the conspiracy, you should do some actual research to figure out what actually happened and where you actually stand with it. But social media is just such a good place to make connections.
And it's not like we're forsaking everything, or that we're 100% positive about screens even.
No,
because
we're not.
If you look at a really common example, we have some qualms with it. For example, iPad kids. It's crazy for our generation. We do not like it.
Gen Z is not a fan of the iPad kids, which is considered to be more of a Generation Alpha thing. Yeah. Although Gen Z grew up with Kindles,
iPads,
maybe not iPads, but Kindles for sure.
Yeah.
I grew up with a Kindle. My 3 younger brothers grew up with a Kindle. And so it's kind of interesting to look at it, and yes, Gen Z is being hypocritical.
Because a tad hypocritical, I would
we're
say.
Always on our phones, and we are talking about these little kids always on their iPads, and we're like, no, they shouldn't be doing that.
But I would argue that there's quite a difference, because I think that we're kind of directing our anger or our frustration at the wrong spot. Because I think that the main issue here is that we still remember getting read bedtime stories. Yeah. We still remember going out to playgrounds. We still remember all these things that are so important.
We have these, because we didn't fully have access to screens when we were kids a lot of the times. It was right on the verge of when screens were introduced. And so it's interesting because we have those memories of playing outside, not being on screens all the time. But then we've watched our younger siblings, we've watched our neighbors, and they have completely different childhood experiences than us.
And I think that's what's really the issue for us. It's not that, iPads are bad, phones are good, phones are whatever. It's really the fact that, we use our phones a lot. And it's kind of an attachment to everybody, and previous generations also do that. It's just directed to us because it came with our generation. Yeah. But we also see that there are negatives to everything, and just like we need to be accustomed to screens, we don't want it to take over everything.
No, we don't.
We still love using books, using different ways to have fun, and arts and crafts, whatever.
For me, my main problem with iPad kids is the fact that it feels like they're losing some of their childhood. Yeah. And I know the effects that having a phone and having a Kindle at a young age had on me and had on my brothers that are all younger than me. And I've seen that, and I've seen the differences. And because I was exposed to that technology at such a young age, I feel so dependent on my phone now. Yeah. Compared to some of my friends that didn't have Kindles, that didn't get their phones till they were in high school. They're not as attached to technology as I am. And that's because I grew up with it and with more exposure than they did. And so I watch my youngest brother, who is Gen Alpha, and he was 6 years old when COVID hit, and so that was his only connection to the outside world. And a lot of his childhood has been centered around his Kindle, his phone.
Yeah, video games are crazy, and I think that, again, overall, it's not
a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing alone. It's not a bad thing alone, which is everything else in the world. So just targeting one generation, whether it's Gen Z or Gen Alpha, is not the issue. It's that we need to find balance.
Yes.
And we're all looking to find balance one way or another, and that's really crucial for us.
Beyond living life on screens, Gen Z are accused of not actually living.
Right, which simply put means that Gen Z are typically characterized as being lazy and unwilling.
But is that actually true? Here to talk about this with us is freshman Nancy Badwan. So the very first thing that we want to talk about overall is that I feel like a large part of where Gen Z's laziness accusation comes from is that we are just entering the workforce, kind of, and we are very much accused of not putting in efforts or being like not as sincere as previous generations who are working. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it, especially like the laziness part, I feel that it's mainly because of like a lot of students struggle with like mental health, me included. Some struggle with academic pressure, also me included, unfortunately. I feel like, like just pressure like from like your peers, your friends, your parents, and just like your mental health can like cause all of that to like just like start plummeting down, like whether it's like work, school, just anything in general. Like you'll lose motivation. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of the laziness comes from older generations not understanding that we are responding to how we're being treated.
Yeah.
That the pressures that we're being put under and the stuff that we're going through is affecting us and our motivation, and it's causing us to become less motivated and less wanting, and they're not seeing it as that. They're seeing it as us being lazy and not wanting anything instead of not wanting what they've wanted in the past.
For sure. And I think a large part of that also comes in the fact that, like, it's not that we don't want to work. In fact, so many of us, I'm sure you can, like, name at least 5 different people, because I sure can, of people who have high school jobs, and they're balancing all these things, and there is a lot of pressure. And we're just not workaholics, I would say. Yeah. I think we have more understanding of what everything is going on in life. Do you agree?
Yeah. I would say I'm still 14, so I don't have a job yet. But I've been, like, trying to convince my mom, hey, I want to get a job soon, like, or like when I turn 15, or like I want to I want to get my permanent as soon as possible. And my mom's like, you need to focus on school and everything. And I do like a fair amount of extracurriculars. I want to get like more hobbies, but the thing is, I feel like it's gonna be like too much for me, and like eventually I'm gonna like start like crashing down. I'm gonna start like freaking out, like I need to get like XYZ done, but like I don't have this amount of time, and it's just like it'll be like overwhelming. So I don't want to put too much on myself, but then when I feel like I feel like I don't do anything.
School is such a good point, because there's a lot of pressure on kids to either get a job or not get a job, or all these things. And so like you are about to kind of hit that milestone, if you will. So what does that kind of look like for you?
I feel like, especially just like having classes, I'm doing 2 AP classes next year, which I understand is going to be like a lot. I'm doing
more power to you.
Yeah. Yes. And then I do want to get a job, because I want to start making money. I want to start like saving to like get my own things, like so I can like get like gain more independence, because I have 5 siblings. 4 of them live with me, 1 of them's married, and one of my main goals like is to just like get my own room, because I share one with my little sister. She's 12, and I feel like if I like start like finding more ways to make money, or just like get more money in general, not just like from like birthdays or presents or anything, I feel like that will like help me get some independence, just especially like working with a job. It'll help me like depend on myself, cooperate with others. I feel like that's like a big part. That's why I want to get a job.
What you're kind of saying is you want a job so you can achieve self-fulfillment, right?
Yes.
And so what a lot of Gen Z is doing is they're applying to jobs and they're not being accepted because they don't have experience. And because they don't have experience, they can't get into the job market, so they can't find a job. And so they go towards entrepreneurship, where they are creating self-fulfillment for themselves. They're creating a job opportunity for them that is something that they're more passionate about, something that they're more interested in, and that gives them kind of more self-fulfillment in the long run. Thank you so much for joining us today on our podcast.
Of course, anytime.
And the larger argument really goes to the fact that laziness is just a term that's given to Gen Z. We just have a different perspective, and we have different perspectives on a lot of different things, which is why people give these labels that are unfair.
Yeah, I mean, another stereotype that Gen Z faces a lot, and it's because they have a different perspective, is Gen Z's relationship with politics.
For sure, or rather, kind of the assumption that Gen Z does not care about politics at all.
We have been told for a long time that we're really apathetic to politics.
And that we need to care more, and I think...
we do care about politics.
Yeah, it's just not in the... Again, the entire theme of this is that Gen Z do care, Gen Z do have all these things, but we care differently.
Yes, we have a different perspective going into politics, a different perspective going into how to get in the job market, different perspective with social media and technology. We think about things differently than older generations.
And why does that need to be a problem? Like, one huge thing for me is that I don't think that it's necessarily black and white for us. I think that there's a lot of people that are very polarized. They care about their opinions, and that's the only opinion they see. But that's every single generation, right?
Everybody has people who are extremists.
But I think that a large majority of it is that politics are traditionalized, especially, and we don't need to be completely left or right anymore. We don't completely feel the need to idolize politicians or political parties. And that lies in the fact that we just want things to be a little bit different, and that's okay. Like, I'm not going to go into something and say, oh, I hate so-and-so or I love so-and-so. I want to see policies. I think we all do in some way.
I think seeing policy is the main thing that Gen Z cares about.
Right, and I think that's really
knowing
different.
What the politician is wanting to do. And we especially love it when someone tells us how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
When we get to know how they plan to do it, and what their plans are, then I feel like we really begin to understand that politician. For me personally, if a politician was to explain how they intend to achieve their policy, I feel like I'm going to vote for them more because I understand their goals more.
And I think that's really fair, especially since I think politics, that seems a little bit idealistic. Yeah, I want everybody to tell me everything, when the politics are really just generally not like that all the time.
No, it's not like that.
But, and therein lies our problem, but also, I think that we just want good communication, and we want good presentation of the facts, and we want something that tailors to us more, because what I've seen, for example, of social media, the common recurring topic is that, hey, let me talk about or show you this cool edit of something and put some music over it that's like from your generation, which means nothing to me.
That means nothing.
Yeah, if anything, that makes me feel more confused and more frustrated. I just feel like you're pandering to the wrong audience for something that we don't.
They're trying to get to Gen Z, but they're not.
It's not
doing it the right way. They're doing it with flashy lights, and that's not what we need. What we need is someone like Mamdani, who I would really like to talk about him and his campaign. So Zoran Mamdani just ran for the New York City mayor a year ago, right?
Yeah, it was a year.
It was a year ago. And so he used social media to promote his campaign and to really talk about his issues and how he planned to achieve things.
Yeah, and I think that really does show the difference. I really want to preface this. It's not about political party or affiliation or anything. It's the fact that I like seeing people who are going door to door again.
Yes,
but I want to see it on social media.
That's something that Mamdani did.
Yeah, if that's okay.
He went knocking door to door. He interacted with the people. He went out on the street and was talking. And that is what I want to see from politicians. That's what's going to make me want a politician, because it shows me that they're human.
For sure. I really think that regardless of our civics education and the fact that we care about different things or that we're polarized, we're not polarized, it's really just the fact that whatever you believe, there is some reason to believe that we need change. We need something different. We need something that's maybe younger, maybe it's from a certain political party, maybe it's not, maybe it's from a certain generation, maybe it's not. It's just the fact that I feel like we're in this slump of we see the same thing over and over again. Why does it matter to us? We want to see why do these things matter? And for us, that's job markets, that's seeing the humanity of people, and that's so many different things. And we are we slowly need to get there. And you can't both disinclude and try to include Gen Z at the same time. That won't work. Because we are voters now. A lot of us have gotten to that age, and we are ready to put more into our country each and every day.
I'm ready to vote.
Yeah, I'm ready to do everything I can to make our country a better place or make it more efficient, whatever it is. But I feel like there's just so many different ways to go about it, and we are still stuck in a way that might not be as efficient anymore.
At least not for Gen Z.
At least not for Gen Z, yeah. So, all of this to say, Gen Z, lazy, selfish, or disengaged? Hardly.
Instead, they're different, and that's okay. Once again, I'm Ella Quinney.
And I'm Loukya Vaka.
And this is Deep Dive Discussions.